How's it going? So my name's Chase. I wanted to make a video in regards to the first Phorm athlete search, just to kind of give a highlight of who I am and what I'm about, and where I feel that I can contribute to the success of first Phorm. So really, I wanted to start off with like a brief introduction. So I'm 29 years old. I'm a CrossFit coach here in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm married. I have two kids. My boys' names are Liam and Leonidas. Liam's 4 and Leo is 2 years old. I'm also a soldier. I've been in the military since 2008. Joined the California National Guard. I went active duty. I had a break in service. During that break, I deployed as a contractor overseas in Afghanistan. And about 2 years ago, I rejoined and got back into the Missouri Army National Guard. So, I mean, that's just kind of like a brief little idea of kind of like where I'm at right now. Really, outside of my career, I'm a full-time coach. So I'm the head coach at CrossFit FIF here in Kansas City, Missouri. I've been coaching CrossFit since about 2013. I'm also in pursuit of a career as a firefighter. So I'm in the application process, and I'm just waiting to hear on my placement because I finished all the application stuff. And the reason why I wanted to go firefighter, I wanted to kind of do law enforcement, or not kind of, I really wanted to. My whole family has been correctional officers and PD my whole life. And the reason why I decided to make a switch, so I was in the process for the correctional department and the police department here in Kansas City, but I decided that the firefighter route would be a little better for me, especially career-wise. It'll allow me to continue to coach the majority of the classes at my gym and work around that schedule. But it also kind of gives me that fulfillment of a career of being able to help people. At the end of the day, I'm not a desk and suit and tie type guy. Never have been. I like being hands-on and working with people, which is one of the reasons why I love the military so much. In the military, I'm now a sergeant, so I'm a team leader. I've been in multiple leadership roles, and through that, it's given me the opportunity to grow and help others. And I really value that aspect of my life and the service that I do. So anything in which I can really help others succeed, it's pretty awesome to me. So a little bit about my fitness background. So growing up, I played sports just like most kids. Played baseball and football, mainly baseball though. And but going into 8th grade, I was the smallest guy, always, and I was beat up a lot. I was picked on a lot, and so it was pretty rough on the social side. My family side was great. I had excellent support. My two brothers, my mom and dad, but no one really understood the extent of how bad that was. So going into 8th grade, we decided to pull me out of school, and I was on independent study, so I didn't even go to a regular school. I was kind of self-taught my whole 8th grade. So, I didn't really have any friends, didn't communicate with anybody, and during that time, I sat and played a lot of video games, and I gained a ton of weight. So by the time I went into freshman year of high school, I was 5 foot even, and I was 200 pounds, and I wore size 40 in men's pants. And I was basically the social outcast. And it kind of stayed that way until I went out for athletics in freshman year. I went out for baseball. So I tried out for the baseball team. There wasn't enough people to cut, and at that time, one story stands out specifically that changed my whole life on fitness. It was about 2 or 3 weeks in. We were doing conditioning after practice, and it was 2 laps around the baseball field. So I did these 2 laps, and I got a lap and a half in, and of course I was behind everybody, and I was breathing so hard I felt like I was gonna freaking die, and I stopped behind this oak tree in center field, and I sat behind it and I cried, and because I just felt so mentally defeated. And next thing I know, my whole team comes over, and they're like, no, you're finishing this, and they convinced me to get up, and I finished the last half lap. What I found interesting, though, was some of these guys who actually like encouraged me to finish were my bullies. Like these guys beat me up. So I thought it was really weird that they would do that. But after that, I told myself that I would never quit on myself. But I would never quit on myself because of them. And I would never quit on my team. And I would try no matter how hard it was. And it was. And it was really, really hard. So I finished that season. Then I go into sophomore year and I start football. So I continue to do what I've been doing, mentally as far as like not quitting and trying my hardest. Going into sophomore baseball, doing the same thing. So I was 180 pounds by football, so I lost about 20 pounds. Not a lot, but I realized that I could run and breathe, and do 2 laps, and I thought that was pretty amazing. So I really started enjoying that. Going into sophomore year baseball, I could run even more. Now I was about 155 pounds or so. And then between the sophomore and junior year, that summer, I got a gym membership. That was my first gym membership, and I started doing more and more cardio. Well, I got addicted to the feeling that weight loss brought on, and from there, I wanted to lose more weight. So every time I turned around, it was 5 more pounds, 5 more pounds, 5 more pounds, and I wanted to figure out how could I lose it faster. So I stopped eating, and then I became disgusted by food. So that summer I went down from about 155 to I got down to 128, and I was anorexic. I didn't know what anorexia was at the time, but but I loved it. I loved how I felt, and I loved how I could breathe for days and just run and run and run. So I lost all this weight. I got down. I went from size 40 to 28, and eventually my family kind of caught on, and my brother especially. And they pulled me aside and basically said like, "Hey, I need to start eating." And I didn't realize that I lost all this weight until I saw a picture of myself from just a few months earlier. Because anorexia is this mental disorder, and when I saw this picture, I saw how skinny I was in the picture. But when I looked in a mirror, and I stood there in my bathroom, and I looked at this mirror, and I was like, "That's not me." But that was my first glimpse and realization that I did change. So I knew I had to make some choices after that. So my mom took me to get my first supplement, which was creatine monohydrate. It was this little white store-bought brand. It tastes like ass. So I started lifting I started lifting weights, and then I made a mental goal that I would hit 135 bench press before I went into the free weight area at my gym. So I started taking creatine. I got up to 140 pounds. So I started my weight gain. From there, I just didn't look back. I became obsessed with going to the gym and training and seeing what I could do. And by the end of freshman year, by the end of senior year, I was 155 pounds, and in pretty good shape for, what I felt relative wise. After that, I go and I'm just doing the gym thing for quite a while.